What is your scariest true story? This is the late 80s, early 90s. I was around 6 to 7 years old. I am at home with my sister who is 14, 15 at the time. We grew up in a small Texas town. Everyone knows everybody. We are home alone this particular night and my folks let my sister babysit me frequently. We always got along due to our age gap. Anyway, it is about 8 p.m. and the winter deserts get pretty damn cold. So it is dark and we are in the common room since that is where the TV was, watching 60 Minutes or 48 Hours or Hard Copy or some shit, those one-hour news pieces on CBS that chronicle large crimes in depth. Trafficking murders, kidnappings and the like. Basically a gritty Lifetime special. This one was a typical story guy next door that was quiet. Went on a rampage in his next-door neighbor's house, mutilating them and kidnapping their young daughter. Well, the thing about our house common room is the door leading to the backyard was a large glass door on a wall of floor-to-ceiling windows. Nothing but blackness beyond it. Unless you have the back light on. We did not. The front door is on the other side of the room with a small entryway. This is a solid door, so you cannot see what is beyond it, with a glass storm door on the outside of it. About 45 minutes into the show, they are talking about the ongoing manhunt for this crazy guy, and bam, 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 front door bangs like crazy. We jump the fuck up and scream like banshees. Dead silence now. The only lights on in the house are the kitchen down the hall from the common room we were in and the light from the TV. We start thinking something on the porch. We had some planters and a rocking chair out there had simply blown against the door. This was West Texas, crazy strong winds out that way. Well, a minute or two of silence and us holding each other post-adrenaline overdose passes. Just when we are about to declare everything is safe, we hear the storm door on the outside of our front door close. Fuck. Someone had to have opened that door to be able to bang on the front door like that. Shit. We are both frozen in the middle of the room on the floor where we had been watching TV. My sister crawls over to the TV and turns it off. It was an old TV, so you had to turn that metal dial to switch it off, which it does with a mildly loud thunk. Now it is just us in a room dimly lit by the kitchen light down the hall. I do not remember how much time passed with my frozen and my sister still crouched by the now off TV, but we kept making eye contact. Then looking at the front door. I remember this part vividly. I am on my knees, sitting on my feet, and I turn around to look at the back wall of windows and glass door. We hear and I see the back door knob turn. It was locked on the knob, but not deadbolted. It rattles slightly as if someone is gently trying the handle. Neither of us make a sound, just held breath. Then bam, loud as all hell. Someone is trying to force the door open, just jerking it back and forth. The whole wall of windows is vibrating violently, and I can see with each jerk of the door how my slight reflection gets fuzzy, then clear, then fuzzy. My sister flips her shit and screams, "Bloody murder!" I am still frozen on the floor. She gets up and basically drags me into her bedroom, slams the door, throws her mattress and anything she can in front of her door. Thankfully, she had remembered the phone. One of those ungodly heavy beige plastic long metal antenna portable phones. We still had to direct dial the sheriff there and in her panic didn't remember the number. She just hit redial on the phone. It was one of her friends and she tells them in broken gasps that someone is trying to get into our house and needs to get there right fucking now. The profanity sticks out here more than anything else. Who knows, young brain? I am curled up on the floor and cannot stop shaking. We don't hear anything else until we see the headlights of my sister's friend and her parents driving up to the house. We never did find out who was at the door or why there were no signs of anything happening, but a couple of scuff marks on the bottom of the back door that we could not remember if they were there beforehand or not. Nothing like that has happened to me or her since, but for damn sure we never forget to lock a door after that. When I was young, I'd say 8, 11-ish. My sister, whom is 7 years older, would babysit me when my parents were out. At the time, she smoked a lot, and my parents made her smoke outside, of course, so I'd follow her outside into the carport, which faced the street, and play around, annoy her and such. One day, my sister notices a car at the end of the driveway, just sitting in the road. It's a white SUV, I believe, a mid-90s Bravada. Bravado not sure with a bike rack on top. It has the most tinted windows I have ever seen. You could not see inside from the side. It sat there until she went inside, then would drive to the end of the road and sit at the church parking lot and wait. Wait until she'd come out again for another smoke, and it would repeat this. Odd, but my sister is a brave lady and just kind of ignored it. That is until the next day while my parents were out again and it showed up again. It would sit at the end of the driveway and just watch. I don't know what the driver was doing, but he was watching my sister. If I didn't go out, I'd watch from the front window, and it would just sit there and watch my sister. She told my father, who was a sheriff deputy at the time, and he called the cops, made a complaint. They showed up, looked around, but the SUV was nowhere to be seen. Months went by and nothing. Then one day, a good 9 months after this had all started, and 4-ish since the last sighting, it was back. It became a regular occurrence. Another day, my sister was outside doing her nasty habit, and sure enough, here it comes. This time we were alone as usual, and she decides she's had enough. She tells me to stay in the carport, and she's going to go confront them. She starts walking toward the SUV, and halfway down the driveway, she would later remark to us, I felt utter terror, like I knew if I went any further I was dead. I was paralyzed by pure fear. She turned around and went inside. Finally, the family car was in the shop for some kind of issue, so we were all stuck home for a night and had to get delivery, etc. while my parents are home. My sister goes outside to smoke. I go outside with her, and eventually the SUV shows up. She tells me to run inside and tell my father, and I do. My dad promptly gets his gun and starts briskly walking down the driveway with it in hand in the direction of the SUV, but not leveled towards it. The SUV floored it down the road and peeled out onto the nearby large highway. My dad, being a cop, noted the year and model and distinguishing features. The scariest thing, the license plate had been covered in duct tape. We never saw it again, and my sister just kind of shrugs it off now. When I was a kid, the thing I hated to do the most was take my clothes downstairs to the basement and place them in a big pile next to the laundry machine so that my mom would wash them. That side of the basement was not finished, and it freaking terrified me. I had so many nightmares about the place, like crazy, reoccurring nightmares that I would realize when they were happening, but I was unable to escape them. One of the nightmares was that I would be up and around the house with no one else at home, and then I would become aware that it was approaching. The time. I don't know what time it was, but I could feel it in my bones, that bad things were about to happen, so I would get under the kitchen table. The door to the basement was in the kitchen, and then the basement door would open and I could see the legs of some man I never knew who it was, and never saw his face. But I knew that if this creature caught me out in the open, it would do terrible things to me. The worst thing was the thought that it knew I was under the table, but it enjoyed the fact that I was so afraid, hiding under there, trying not to be seen or heard. Sometimes, either at the end of an unrelated dream or on its own, I'd be walking down the stairs into the basement, and when I stepped off the last step, I was plunged into total darkness and something would grab me. I can't explain the terror this produced in me and the fact that I knew at the top of the stairs what was about to happen, and I could not stop walking. There were other crazy dreams like that, all taking place in the basement or about the basement. I hated the basement. One day when I had to take my laundry down, I was home alone except for my dog. So I decided it'll be better to have her down there with me than have to go by myself. I grab my laundry, call the dog, and head down the stairs. It's daylight. Light is streaming down the stairs and into the basement through these small slit windows, and nothing is all that terrifying. I saunter over to the machine, casually toss my clothes onto the pile, and start to make my way back up the stairs. Previous boldness aside, I always run up the stairs because I hate the basement. I was a scrawny kid, so you could barely hear my feet tapping up the stairs. Suddenly, all I can hear is this insane thudding and scrambling coming up the stairs behind me. My brain almost literally shut down. I screamed with terror. I felt my heart pounding in my chest, and I couldn't even continue moving up the stairs. I simply fell onto the stairs and curled up into a ball. Can you even imagine growing up and being told monsters aren't real and then facing the moment where your worst nightmare is about to murder you in your own home? I just shut my eyes as tight as I could and waited to die. Then my dog started licking my face, excited to be playing a fun new game called Race You Up the Stairs. I have a few paranormal events that happened all throughout my life. Most of them are pretty tame, but there is one that got to me and still sticks with me today. About 4 years ago, I was ending my freshman year at college. I had lived in the dorms with a kick-ass roommate and pretty much had a great experience altogether towards the end of my last semester. Something seemed different in my hall of the dorms. We were all still our lively selves, but just walking into the dorms would give you this massive feeling of dread. We all wrote it off as the stress of finals approaching, but it just felt off. Well, one night after studying, I decide to hit the shower so I can just wake up and make my way to class in a few hours before I keep going. I should go ahead and set the layout of our hall and the bathroom. Our hall was one of many halls on a single floor. Each hall had 4 rooms that accommodated 2 people each, or a single room for the RAs. The entrance to the halls were massive steel doors with a small window located at one end, and across from it was the bathroom. It seriously felt like a prison block rather than a living quarter for college students. As for the bathroom itself, when you walked in, you were immediately met with 2 sets of sinks. 2 sinks aside on your left and right with massive mirrors facing each other and creating that infinite loop of mirrors. Then past that, you had your 2 urinals and a toilet stall on your left and 2 showers on your right. When facing the left set of sinks, you can clearly see into the showers from the mirror if the door is open, and in the right set of sinks, you can see the reflection of the shower. The door of the bathroom was identical to the entrance to the hall, a massive steel frame with a small window that didn't allow for much of a view with good reason. The door was propped open with a giant wooden wedge that couldn't be moved unless you were really trying to close that door. So back to the story. I'm all alone in the bathroom gearing up to go shower. I throw my change of clothes on the right side sink so that way I can reach around the stall and grab them. Once I set my stuff down, I happen to look up into the mirror and I can see in the distance something almost shimmering inside the shower stall. As I look at it, I notice that it slowly gets closer, like it's jumping from the furthermost layer to the next layer closer. I'm kind of unsettled, but I don't think much of it other than me coming down off of a massive Red Bull, Adderall, and caffeine kick, but it starts transitioning faster as it gets closer. I can start making out details, but nothing vivid or striking. It's just a dark mass that looks like it's covered in hair at this point. I'm freaking out. Hardcore, since this thing is getting closer in the mirror and I'm pretty much frozen to this one spot. As it gets to the 4th layer, I get the closest look at this thing I'll ever get and I regret every minute of it. It wasn't hair, but some kind of long flowing veil. You could see through it partially, but from the torso down, it was just solid black. And the face, I can't describe it. It was clearly human, but at the same time it was so far removed. There were eyes. They were black, but definitely glowing. Somehow I only saw this for maybe a second at the most, but it's burned into my mind forever. Then the lights cut out and I hear the door slam. It's pitch black in the bathroom, so I can't see this thing anymore. I go to open the door, but it won't budge. And then this intense smell of blood hits me out of nowhere. And that's all I remember. I woke up later in the hospital from what my RA claims he was on his way to go use the bathroom sometime after this happened, where he found me in the shower stall with my shirt covered in blood from a massive nosebleed. He tried asking me what happened, and according to him, all I could respond with was, "It saw me." And I start freaking out, so he calls an ambulance and they get me to the hospital. All the while, I'm apparently freaking out, so they sedate me to get me to calm down. I'm coming too. Around the time my parents show up, worried sick, of course. I ask them what happened, and according to the doctors, they believe I had a seizure. However, they ran CAT scans soon after I was cooperative enough to do so, and found no sign of any seizure occurring. Not to mention epilepsy doesn't run in my family at all, and having taken Adderall countless times in the past, and since then, I've never had a similar side effect, neither hallucinations or potential seizures. To this day, I still can't bring myself to look into a mirror for more than a minute, and just being stuck in a room with one for an extended period will just cause me to break down. I've been to therapy going on 3 years because of this, and I've talked to countless religious leaders who, besides giving me the general, "Well, you should turn to God in times like these," talks don't recognize that kind of pattern as anything demonic or evil. And the strangest thing is that before that incident, there were no actual claims of activity in those dorms. And since I left, there hasn't been any either. It was just that one isolated incident.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, drop a comment below. and please like, share, and subscribe my channel.